Welcome to DETOURS, the Broward MPO podcast, where we go a little off topic to find great stories. I'm Amanda Kristen, and today we're joined by a teacher and a group of students from Nova Middle School in Plantation. Every year, they take an Amtrak train to Washington, D.C. to compete in We the People, the National Mock Congressional Hearing Competition. Let's get into it. My first question is for everyone, actually. What's your name? What's your grade? And what's one thing about you that doesn't have to do with We the People? I'll start with you.
Hello, my name is Nathan. I'm going to the 8th grade, and one thing about me that doesn't have to do with We the People is I like to read books.
Oh, wonderful. You pass it?
Hello, my name is Olivia. I'm going into the 9th grade, and one thing about me is I am a Jamaican-born citizen.
Wonderful.
My name is Muriel. I'm going into the 9th grade, and I like to draw.
My name is Violet. I'm going into 9th grade as well, and I also like to read.
Well, my name is Kristen Murphy. I'm in no grade, and I like to work out.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you all for being here. This is going to be a great conversation. The first question I have for Kristen is, what is the We the People competition?
It's a constitution-based competition that asks students to take real events happening in the country and connect them to the Constitution. So you have to take your class and divide it into 6 groups, and each of those groups has to become an expert in a certain area of the Constitution. And then the competition takes they give a question to each of the 6 groups. The questions, if you're paying attention, really connect to something happening in the country, if you think about it. And the kids have to prepare in their groups a 4-minute opening statement addressing the questions that were posed to them. And then for 8 additional minutes after they deliver that opening statement, judges from around the country can ask anything they want about what they said or what's happening in the world. And kids have to be able to use history, current events, statistics, Supreme Court cases, Federalist Papers. What am I missing?
Wow.
Quotes from founding fathers. If they can incorporate any of those things into an answer, they score points. So it's supposed to be, like this podcast, a casual discussion about the Constitution and how it's affecting things going on in our country today.
Oh, wow. Well, that's so interesting with how relevant the information must be. How have you started to take in news any differently, or news media? Have you become more avid consumers or more critical consumers of news media since you started with this competition?
Yes, I have. Before, I didn't used to read any news, and when I'd search up something, I usually just look at the AI overview. But after the competition, I use real sources, and I'm subscribed to 3 news sources at the moment.
Oh, wow. That's great. What are those news sources, if you can tell us?
1440 News, the New York Times, and Ground News.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Can you explain to us what a mock congressional hearing actually looks like?
Well, it would look like as it looked like for us. It would be you sitting at a table or similar to how we're sitting now, but in front of you, you have a screen where the judges are, a mic in front of you where you just talk to the judges, and you're giving your opening, you're telling the judges what they're going to hear throughout the conversation. And afterwards, for 8 minutes, they start to really question you about the information that you gave them and go really much deeper into more about what you gave them and beyond that.
Wonderful. And can you tell me a little bit about the unit that you particularly worked on?
So I had 2 units, like a lot of the older kids in Comp Law. I was in Unit 2 and Unit 5. My main unit was Unit 5, which focuses on how the Constitution protects our basic rights. So we talked about the 14th Amendment, the Bill of Rights, how all of that works into our day-to-day lives, and how we get the balance of the federal and state powers so that we get all our liberties as American citizens. And we really had to look into current events from not just the current administration, but in the past as well with the Biden administration, Obama administration, all of them to look at how they apply to our rights.
What is the constitutional question or issue that you guys had to argue?
There were different ones for every unit. I was also in 2003 and 1. For Unit 3, it dealt a lot about the first 3 articles of the Constitution and specifically which branch we thought was the most powerful or the least powerful, specifically Congress, like whether we thought it had lost a lot of its power or whether it had gained power throughout the 250 years or 230 something.
How does it feel to argue in front of those judges? How does it feel to be there, representing your team and understanding that these folks are supposed to be playing the roles of members of Congress? How does that feel to you?
Well, for me, it's a really exciting because also before this, similar to how Nathan said, I wasn't very educated on the topic. So it's kind of exciting to be able to realize, like, wow, because of this this competition, I'm able to sit here and have this conversation about everything going on in the world. And it kind of makes me proud to be able to say, I'm here representing my team, like you said, and being able to bring up this information that I wouldn't have been able to without the competition.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the prep work that goes into competition? Now I'm starting with school all the way up through the day that you get. Can you tell us a little bit about?
During school, when we're in class with Miss Murphy, what we're mainly doing is we're with our units and we're really digging deep into those topics, trying to find every little inner intricacy of what we're talking about. Even after school, I know me personally, my unit, me and Nathan, we went to NSU, we were at the library, the Chick-fil-A a lot, and we were just really studying, really looking into our topic. And that continues all the way up to the train. And at the hotel, it was 12 a.m. at night, and I was still studying. It's just a lot of studying, looking, reading all the time.
Wow. Is there anything else in your life that you have prepared for as much as this competition, you think?
I would say no, because I don't think there's anything in my life as it is now. I'm still young. There's nothing in my life that has made me this passionate or that I've cared about as much as I do for We the People.
That is a huge statement to make. And I can only imagine how your parents and how other teachers must feel having these conversations with you all, because these are very deep, very important conversations to be happening about current events. Your background, you can have conversations with people that are well beyond your years, and you would be able to, make a great statement about the education that you received and the quality of the program. Can you tell me a little bit more about how did you feel when you found out you would be taking a train on this trip to the competition? I know that there is quite a legacy of success at your school, Nova Middle School, with this competition. I understand that this is the 4th year in a row that you have won the national competition, right? So what do you do on the train specifically that you think helps you really, really cram and prep? Is there anything specifically on the train that you do that makes you feel, you're getting your very last effort in?
Absolutely. I think it's a combination of Mr. and Mrs. Murphy and some high school coaches working with us, Brianna and Ray. They question us very rigorously, and if we don't know a question, then we do a deep dive on it, and we come back in our next round. We do rounds where, at this time, Unit 2, for example, is going to get questioned, and we recite our openings, we go through questioning, then we go back to our seats, and we study with our groups or individually, depends on what you're doing at the time, and you really make sure that you know your topic so deep that it's like you go down a rabbit hole of information.
Have you all found that you've gone that deep into the rabbit hole of your topics and your conversations?
Oh, I have for sure, yeah. And I did Unit 3 and 1, both in 7th and 8th grade. So be able to do the same 2 units for 2 years in a row, it really makes sure that you go down those rabbit holes.
And what does practice look like for you all? Do you have people that sit in as judges for you throughout the year?
Mr. and Mrs. Murphy, they are two of our main coaches. But other than them, we do have some high school judges. And I think most notably, everyone in this room knows of, or every student in this room knows of Mr. Brennan. He's, I'd say, a lot stricter. He's like more of a high school judge than the chillness of a middle school judge. That I think pushes us to work harder, because it's like the next time you see him, you want to show him all that you've got and more.
And so when you're on that train and you're prepping, are you doing drills? Are you doing mock rounds? Are you sitting by yourselves? Are you cramming individually, or are you having like kinetic conversations with each other?
Well, it's a mix of a lot of those things. With Mr. Murphy and Miss Murphy, it was a mock round of the full thing. But with our high school coaches, Brianna and Ray, we went straight to the questions. And then when you're on the train, you can individually study, but sometimes, at least with my unit, we'd go together, practice our opening, make sure I memorize, and question each other.
And do you enjoy this?
Yes.
How much do you enjoy it?
A lot.
Yeah. Okay, great. I have a question for your teacher now. How do you coach 12 to 14-year-olds to think on their feet?
I think we're lucky in that we have very motivated 12 to 14-year-olds. Very competitive. I will say it was very hard the first year we did We the People to get buy-in to We the People. And well, even Nathan will tell you, the first time you introduce We the People to students, they're like, no thanks.
Yeah.
And then you tell them, if you're going to like it, I promise you're going to like it. And they have to trust you. And I think they do. And eventually they learn to love it. So I think Nathan was on that journey from, I really don't like this at all, to, I really do like this a lot. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you have to, it's kind of my strategy with teaching in general. How can I connect what I'm teaching you to what's actually happening in your life? If you can, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you can show the connection, I think it becomes infinitely more interesting today. And we were having a conversation on the way up about chemistry. And like, well,
Okay.
I didn't realize until I was an adult that chemistry matters. As a teenager, I was like, ew, why? But sometimes I'm walking around like, oh, that's why, right? Had this exact conversation. You can make the connection, then I think it becomes easier to teach the content.
Definitely. Is it difficult to get the funding for the competition? Have you all had to do anything individually to raise funds to get you on that train?
This year, we focused on, we did a lot of fundraising on Give Butter, which is an online fundraiser that allows your friends and family to donate however much they want. And it helped a lot of us. A lot of us raised like $800. That's like the upper end, but it helped a lot.
That's amazing.
We do popcorn sales, sometimes candy sales. I have a non-for-profit that it will collect money and then contribute. It's a 100% student teacher. The country, yeah, and there's no money in the school system to contribute.
What's different about this year's team than, say, your first year team?
I mean, the kids in every year are equally motivated. I think the difference, if I had to pick a difference, I would say every year we win, which is the goal, obviously. But every year we win, I think the next group feels a pressure.
Right.
To keep the legacy going.
Right.
And we try really hard. I mean, it's hard to win a national championship once. And we tell them this the first week of school. And then we repeat it several times throughout the year. It's unlikely to win it twice. It's super unlikely to win it 3 times. So statistically speaking, we're probably not going to win it 4 times. And that's fine. If at the end of the day, you did everything you can do to try to win it,
right,
then as teachers and coaches, we're happy, right? They're not happy. And so I think that if I had to pick a difference with this year's group, is there was a pressure that I'm going to say, of unhealthy pressure that in some cases gave kids some anxiety attacks and something that made me question, should we continue to do?
Okay. I really do want to get a couple more questions in about what happens on the train, because we're a transportation organization, and this podcast is called DETOURS, which is sort of the detours from your everyday topic of transportation, roadways or buses or something like that. So I'm really so interested in learning about how you spent your time on the train. It's totally, it's a completely different mode of transportation than taking an airplane. You get to look out the window. You get to see what's going on in the countryside beside you. Did that have any effect on you, or did you feel that you were just too busy before for the competition to enjoy the train ride?
For me, especially my first year, it definitely did have like an influence on me, because for me, like I would be studying and like trying to go through like the worksheets that we have, and then I would get tired and I would just like start glaring out the window without even noticing. I think it's pretty cool, and especially like my second year, I started to get the handle of how to manage my time more, so that I could still study but also enjoy like what I was able to look at. And I think that also helped with my studying, because it wasn't like if I was on an airplane like there's only one thing I can do and that's it. I like to have like a little variation, so it is nice.
That's great. And riding through so many states back to back, did it make you think at all about the diversity of our country, and thinking about the founding fathers, and thinking about how this country was initiated? Did that ever happen to you when you were just sort of riding through the countryside?
Yes, one time we were passing through, I think, Georgia, and I saw the different state of the buildings, and how they had a brick texture, and how the buildings in the state was colored, and just the city that's completely different from Florida. And that just made me think like, wow, everything's like so different.
It is. That's right. It's such an interesting way of seeing the world. And you all were on the overnight trip, right? So it's 22, 24 hours. What's the vibe on the train like among all of y'all when you're there?
At times can be really fun when you like hanging out with your friends, eating the ramen that they have in one of the carts. You're hanging out. Sometimes you're eating while you're doing questioning. Sometimes it's stressful in questioning, but once you get out of it, it's a nice break from it, and you can hang out with your friends while studying for the competition, which I think helped all of us feel less stressed.
That's wonderful. Kristen, if I recall our first conversation, you said that you think that the train ride may have something to do with your winning strategy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, that's my guess. Yeah, and we had a lot of resistance the first year taking the train. Mm-hmm. And once we got on the train and the kids realized, wait, I can get up, I can walk around, we can build blanket forts in the aisle. Two things happened. Bonding, everyone got a lot closer, and studying. And so when they have nothing else to do for 23 hours than bond and study, I feel like, you spend 9 months saying, this is coming. And they're like, yeah, okay, it's in 8 months. It's in 7 months. When you're on the train, it's in 48 hours.
Great.
And just something happens where I think they lock in, it clicks, and they're like, it's now or never. Right?
Right.
And I think that is just the secret to our success. And hopefully none of our competitors watch this podcast.
Violet, what is the best part about being on the train for that long?
I would say the variation that you're allowed to do. Like, as I said before, I don't like to do the same thing for too long, especially when it comes to studying. So the fact that I can get up, go to the cafe cart and study with my unit or my group, study with my friends that aren't in my group, then I can move to a different table and do mock runs with Mr. and Mrs. Murphy. And then I can go back to my seat and work alone. and then I can go somewhere else to just hang out with my friends, I think that's definitely
You're hitting on all of your studying zones in your brain. That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. If you could redesign the trip, would you do it the same way? Would you take a plane or would you take the train?
Oh, I think I would take the train. There's obviously some parts that I don't love about the train, but I think in general, it's such a good experience for like the studying and the bonding that I think you can't really replace.
It's such an interesting concept that you're spending the last few hours before you're going into this major competition. You're spending your last few hours together on a train. You could be completely distracted. You can be completely doing other things, but you all have such a synergy as a group that the train actually makes that synergy stronger, makes your cohesion stronger, which I think is really incredible. What would you say to a sixth grader that is contemplating becoming part of the We the People competition and at your school and are like very nervous? How would you help him or her?
I would tell them that the competition is really fun, but you also have to be willing to put in the work. And if you're not ready to put in the work, then you shouldn't join. But if you are ready to put in the work but have fun at the same time, then you should join.
Okay, makes sense. And has this at all made you think about going into anything law related or government related? I know that your teacher, Mrs. Murphy, is an attorney and has changed careers and is now a teacher full time in the law department at Nova Middle School. What's one word that you would use to sum up the competition? One word.
Intense.
Intent.
I would say energetic, actually.
Stressful.
Okay, totally fair.
I think this might only apply to my unit, but I would say Lafayette probably.
That's Lafayette. Oh, you have to explain that then.
So I've been doing comp law for 2 years, and in both of those years, we every year during nationals, one of our topics would be Lafayette, and we'd have a quote from Lafayette or a quote from Hamilton about Lafayette, and then that would become like something that the class would say. I remember last year it was everyone give it up for America's favorite fighting Frenchman, Lafayette, and then this year it was something different. I can't recall it at the moment.
Wow. Every year you do that, huh? Interesting.
Shinto.
And what has been your favorite part, and what do you think is the most useful nugget that you're going to take with you to high school?
I think that it's okay to rely on your unit members, especially for this competition. You work together a lot of the time in class and like we were talking about on the train. And it's okay, like you should be splitting up the work between everyone more or less equally, because one person can't be doing much more than everyone else. They're going to get burnt out and it's going to bring down the rest of the group.
I think that that's a solid response. I have one more question for your the teacher, Kristen Murphy. I imagine that this is fulfilling in a different way than your career as an attorney.
For sure.
Do you foresee doing this for a long time? Do you foresee the program being in existence for a long time at the Nova Middle School, or do you foresee your involvement for some time to come?
It's funny because I've had that conversation with my husband a lot lately. It's a lot of work.
Right.
Because in addition to We the People, I do mock trial. I do a class at the high school as well. And and in addition to that, I have an intro 6th grade class, intro 7th grade class, advanced 7th grade class, 8th grade class. So there are 4 other groups of kids that don't do this at all. And so you have to prep for those classes. And it's become a lot. And so I'm trying to find ways to get the kids involved with some of the management of the trips to take some of the pressure off of me. Because as it is now, I don't see how I can keep doing what I'm doing for much longer and keep growing the program to give them what they want.
Right.
But if they can all get involved,
Right.
and they can take take on some of the leadership roles and the managerial roles, then for sure I see myself doing this so for a while. I would hate to see it stop because I think they like it. And to answer your earlier question, I don't know about Nathan in particular, but or Muriel even, but I know these two, Violet and Olivia, I think are looking at legal careers, right?
Yep. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, some of my family is in the law field, so it's always been something that I've thought about. But entering Miss Murphy's class, it definitely opened my eyes a lot more to what the field actually looks like and how I can involve myself. And even now, I've started working with a local representative to try and just help out,
Well, when I first came into the middle school law program, I was already thinking about law, but I think it has changed because of it. When I came in, I said, I want to be a lawyer because I like to argue and I like to have discussions and I like to have conversation. But now I'm going into the high school and my view has changed to I want to be a lawyer because I want to do more for my community that is done to me. And I think that's what the middle school has opened my eyes to.
Thank you. See, stuff like that is what makes it more.
Absolutely.
I was to law to be an entertainment lawyer, and what you find is the lawyers are more contentious with each other. Not everybody, obviously, than the clients are. And I just personally wasn't fulfilled, right? And then obviously take a pay cut and you get to work with the kids. It'd be challenging at times because they are teenagers. You all know what I'm talking about. But it's at the end of the day, definitely more rewarding.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty, your candor, and congratulations. Congratulations. You're welcome. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Detours. We'll see you next time.